Grand Rise, Willie Whittle. It shall be dope. This is the podcast. Let's get into it. So, this week was a tough week for me. Mother's Day was today, or is today. And it's always an emotionally charged time frame for me, for my family. And I just want to kind of talk about some of the events and some of the feelings that I had this week, just so I can describe to you, the question that I asked myself and the question that I want to pose in the It Shall Be Dope pod, which is, what's the process worth to you? So on Monday, I had a conversation with my daughter. I was getting her ready for school, 6-year-old, getting her ready for school, and she saw me on my computer doing my work because I was working from home on Monday, and she looked at my computer and she said, "Hey, what's that?" Right? She pointed to a picture of a truck at the time, and when she pointed to the picture of a truck, I said, "Hey, that's what Dad does, right? That's what Dad does." And I explained to her, like, not in depth, but like I deal with moving trucks around, blah blah blah. And she said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Well, what does Mommy do, or what did Mommy do?" I was like, good question. So, my wife was a stay-at-home mother, took care of everybody, took care of the house, phenomenally, and that's what I explained to my daughter. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she told me, she said, "Well, I miss Mommy." And I'm like, "I miss her too. I miss her too, definitely." And then she said, funny, not funny, but she said, "We need a new Mommy, right? But like the old Mommy." And I was like, okay. That was kind of shocking to hear, as my 6-year-old daughter was processing her feelings and trying to be able to speak on how she felt, right? And I'm here for it. And I'm like, but she got me in the heartstrings at this moment. And I'm like, yeah, babe, like, it's not that easy to just, get a new Mommy, I guess. But we definitely need to talk about this after you come back from school. Like, let's talk about it. So I sent her off to school, and that threw me into this like zone, right? This zone, and I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. Well, that's not true. I felt that I'm glad that I'm the parent who can get conversation and get words out of my kids, and they trust me enough to tell me how they feel. That's an important piece. Our bond is strong. But another thing was, I felt like, man, am I not tapping into my daughter's thoughts and feelings? And I just kind of we talk about my wife all the time. Like, she knows who her mom is, right, or who her mom was. But just the statement, like, she wanted to know. She was inquisitive. She had a vibe. She had a feeling. And I'm like, man, I need to check in with her emotionally a little bit more, because she's starting to get emotionally in tune, which is huge, right? But man, I was like, it just got me. It put me in a different space than what I was preparing my week for, and I just started thinking about the week, the rest of the week, the end of the week being Mother's Day, how things have been going for me lately, and what can I do to make all of these things continue to grow, not just sustain, but essentially grow in each space that we have within our household. In our household, and under my current management, I'm going to say, there's a bunch of different dynamics going on. And within these different dynamics, I'm trying to figure out what's the best solution for all of them. But I think I was looking at the solutions like an end all. Like this will be a finalized situation instead of it looking like an ongoing project. Like I just want to hit it here, boom, and then that'll take care of everything. And that's not the case whatsoever, especially in the strategy game of life. So I had a rough week, but I had to recenter myself and say, all right, man, what's the process worth to you? You know, Willie, like, let me sit back and actually say, like, what is the process worth to you here? The risk is what? You know what I'm saying? What's the risk about? And if I pursue the path that I'm choosing within each process, what is it worth to me, and let alone what's it worth to the end user? Because our end users are our kids, our family members, our friends who either benefit or don't benefit from these decisions. And I'm like, man, I don't like to lose. I don't like to fail, and I definitely don't like letting people down. But when the pressure's on, you got to make a decision. You got to do something. Um, but the other thing is to drown out the concept of anything can sway you off of, you know, what the process is. And you got to stick to the process. It was a tough road. It's a hard thought. But no matter what, ebbs and flows, you still got to stick with the process. Because the process worth is your why. It's the reason why you're doing it. And it doesn't have to be a glorified answer. It doesn't have to be this untouchable, unfathomable statement that says, I'm doing this because I'm ordained by the great minister of who's he wants it to do it, right? It's nothing like that. It's the fact that, like, your why is just important to you. The process is important to you, and you know it's worth. You know, one of my processes right now is to make sure that my mom gets the best care that she can get. That process has a lot of moving parts and a lot of emotion, but it's the process. And I have to, you know, fight through what that process looks like on a regular basis and still continue to just push forward step by step. But I feel like, you know, I'm kind of also, with all of this hopeful talk of what things could do, thinking about, once again, my daughter speaking on how she felt. To be honest, there's still a little bit of that. There's always going to be a little bit of that grief and that dark vibe about some of these things when you think about it. And, you know, I tell people that currently I'm in my villain era, which I definitely am. But it was just the whole, like, I don't think that some people understand, you know, when they see the iceberg, what's under the water. And I know most of you guys seen the picture that I'm potentially talking about. You might be cool on the top, and you might be, you know, trying to figure some stuff out, and it looks like you may be distracted, or it looks like, you know, hey, he might be a little stressed, but there might be turmoil going on inside of you. And that makes you really think about other things. Nothing deep, dark, or nothing like that, but it does make you think about the world in a different path. You know, I was listening to a song called Let It Burn. It's off of Styles P, Talib Kweli album, The Seven. And the verse that I was listening to at this particular moment was the Rhapsody's verse. Like, Rhapsody got a verse on this song called Let It Burn. and she hit with pay me no mind if you don't know what the price is. Pay me no mind if you don't know what the price is. And that hit me so hard at the moment because I was like, I think that people really want you to invest in them and what's going on around you, obviously, because you're there for a reason. And I get that. But I think some people really got to be careful with what you're asking for. And then we as the invested, or, I know my value and worth. But when I'm in a process, I have to do two things. The right thing, which is make sure that, people understand that I'm in a process. That's actually the right thing to do. But make sure that I'm valuing my steps within that process, because they don't know what the price is. They don't know that the price is high inside of me right now. And the stakes are up, and the turmoil that's going on inside of me raises the stakes to a point where I'm prioritizing different things to make sure that they are in order. I think the other caveat to that is, feeling important. My family makes me feel important every day, and I make them feel important, and we get that. And then the day-to-day things that people do are designed to make you feel important. You're supposed to feel like I'm doing something, and I'm doing it, and great. I'm progressing, right? But I think the villain in me says, when you go down a path, or you've been down a path that shows you what's really important, it's really hard to identify with other people's level of importance. So when it was like, listen, don't pay me no mind if you don't know what the price is. Your price is more valuable on the piece that you're putting in front of you that's important. When you have a different vision and you have a different optic about how things happen, when you've witnessed or when you felt something that changes the value you put on things, sometimes you just got to pay me no mind, because, I don't think people know what the price is of what I'm valuing inside of me. Will I still continue to do things? Of course. But my scale is tipped. My optics are skewed based off of what I know now, right? And it's kind of crazy because it's not a bad thing. It's a certain love. It's a level of love that you get inside the process. Certain level of understanding of life and death, and then the dash in between. So when you have that, you get to really put things in a different perspective. I heard a quote also from a song a little bit ago, and I wrote it down. But I'm a French Montana fan. My son will jump me for saying that, but I'm a French Montana fan. And he said, people raised on love will do anything for you. People raised on survival will do anything to you. And I think that once again, another powerful statement to me that hit me hard, because I feel like the way I was raised, and not to be all like sentimental and sappy or nothing like that, the way I was raised was not bad. I was raised in the neighborhood where I grew up, and we had stuff. I had just enough stuff to be like, I'm cool, and I didn't want much. I didn't want like the newest kicks or nothing like that. I just wanted to make sure I go outside and play. Simple things. So the love to me was there and instilled, and I was able to understand love, and it may not have came from my parents. It definitely came from my surroundings. It definitely came from my dynamic of being who I am and my personality traits and what I gained as I progressed. There was a lot of turmoil in my household back in the day too, but I learned to survive for, and a harsh word, but it is what it is. I learned to survive in my environment. And through that, I learned to love my environment. Well, then it made me who I am, right? It was the pressure that, cold the diamond, right? But I taught and I projected this love and this care that it was just self instilled. And I feel like that helped me understand what I would do for others. But in that same sense, the same people who was around me were raised off of true survival. And then you start realizing how they would, trash you, throw you under the bus, come for you or something like that. And it's like, all right, well, I understand it now. I understand it now. Some people say, like, when you were younger, you didn't know any better. And that's a true statement. But now you have to learn. You have to understand that the world is a little bit different. And some people don't get that message. Some people don't get that message. They don't get to see, what that price is to do better. Jadakiss said, you either bubbling or struggling. It's nothing between. And I get that, because you're either doing great or you constantly fighting every day to keep your head above water, whether that be mentally, financially, and you can't continue to make excuses. You got to know what the process is worth to you and what are you going to do to progress. So I just took in a bunch of that energy this week. Like I said, it was an up and down rough week. But then come like Friday afternoon ish, I started, letting my instincts cook a little bit and letting me, whip the pot that's in my head that got me to thinking like, hey, maybe I can make something out of this, or maybe I can understand a little better what I feel and what everybody feels, and that's fine. It's fine. So what I ended up doing was I definitely refreshed my wife's space where her urn is, and I'm getting her a new picture developed. I didn't get to do it today, but getting her a new picture developed for her space, and so hey, tribute, right? Tribute, always. So, the process is going to continue to happen regardless. And it's kind of funny when you think about it in a way like it's in motion. It's in motion. You got to keep up with it. You got to keep up with the process. You got to know what it's worth to you. Are you going to give it less energy and then let it pass you by? Or are you going to give it a real shot, a real chance, and actually give it your love and say, this is what it needs. This is what's required of me for this process to actually blossom into a different path. And I think that's important. That's important for us to always understand. Like, the road gets hard. The road changes. Dirt, the gravel, slushy, muddy, icy, who knows? But you got to keep on pushing. You got to adapt and keep on pushing. Not everything is going to be positive. Styles P, I heard him say the other day, he said, he was a 180 negative person and he's working on his 180 positive. Because we're all circular people. So I can go 180 negative, and I felt that. I could go 180 negative in a heartbeat, right? But working on that 180 positive to try to make you as much of a better person as you can be is where the work is, where the gangster, where the shine is. You got to push to be that gangster in the process and know what it's worth to you. But please, like, understand. There's a lot of love in the process. There's a lot of prices in the process, and don't pay me no mind if you don't know what the price is. You can ask. You might not like the answer. That's cool, because it's my price. It's my price, and if you do find out what the price is, don't be shocked. It just is what it is, right? Because it's part of the process, and that's what it's worth to me. The process is gonna happen. My family are going to bond together. We are going to be stronger. We are going to have understanding moving forward of who we are, what we're here for, what we're going to do, and continue to push the boundaries of the Whittles, whether people like it or not. And I push through. It shall be dope, because it shall be. It shall be. The process is in motion. The mission is peace, and as long as you walk that path with love, it shall be dope. Thank y'all.